It was supposed to be nothing more than a cozy evening, the kind of night that blends into all the others, safe and predictable. The television flickered in the corner of the living room, its shifting glow painting shadows across the walls and ceiling. The popcorn bowl sat between them like some little glowing planet, glistening under the strobe of the movie's opening credits. The smell of butter lingered in the air, mingling with the faint sweetness of cocoa that steamed from the mugs lined neatly on the coffee table. The mother, our narrator, a woman in her late 30s who carried the familiar exhaustion and quiet tenderness of family life, had orchestrated this night just like countless others. It was Thursday, an ordinary weekday, the kind of night where she clung to routine. A Netflix thriller, a few soft blankets tossed casually over the couch, and the family gathered in one room. These little rituals held their world together. Michael, her husband, sat stretched out at the far end of the sofa. He barely glanced at the screen, his thumb scrolling absently across his phone. The bluish glow reflected in his eyes every few minutes, and though he angled the screen away, the light was impossible to ignore. He laughed at a joke on screen, but the sound came a heartbeat too late, like he hadn't really been listening. The mother caught it, filed it away, and told herself not to let her chest tighten the way it always did lately. Maybe it was work. Maybe it was stress. Between them sat Adam, their teenage son, wedged comfortably yet restlessly in the middle. He had shot up in height over the summer, shoulders broader now, his frame beginning to mirror his father's. Still, in moments like this, when his face softened or when his hair fell into his eyes, she could see the little boy who used to curl against her during cartoons and drift to sleep with sticky fingers and whispered giggles. Instinctively, she reached over to brush his hair from his forehead. He ducked with a grin, half embarrassed, half amused. The living room radiated warmth, blankets, cocoa, the glow of the television. Yet beneath it lingered something unspoken, a current of unease, as if the air itself was listening, waiting. The thriller's storyline unfolded on screen, heavy with tension, deception, and hidden truths. But she found herself missing half the details. Her mind kept circling back to Michael's phone, to the way he angled it away, to the way his body seemed present but his attention elsewhere. She reminded herself to focus on the movie, to not spiral into suspicion. But that small knot in her chest refused to loosen, Adam noticed too. She saw it in the way his eyes flicked from his father's phone to her face, gauging her reaction, silently taking notes. She pretended not to see. She kept her eyes fixed on the screen, though her thoughts swirled everywhere else. By the time the movie reached its first cliffhanger, Adam shifted uneasily. He drew in a deep breath, held it for a moment, then let it out in silence, his lips pressed together, as if holding back words too heavy to release. She glanced at him, curious, worried, but he only offered a tight smile, fragile and fleeting. Something was weighing on him. She could feel it. When the credits finally rolled, the air in the room was different, heavy, thick, as though the house itself had absorbed their silence. The Netflix previews began auto-playing, their cheerful jingles and bright trailers clashing against the tension that had settled like fog. Michael stood, muttering about getting a drink, and disappeared into the kitchen. The sound of ice rattling in a glass filled the quiet. Adam's eyes followed him, then darted quickly back to his mother. "Mom," his voice was quiet, cracking slightly. "I need to tell you something." The seriousness in his tone startled her. She turned toward him fully, her heart already speeding up. His hands twisted in his lap, knuckles turning pale. "What is it?" she asked softly. He swallowed hard. It's about Dad. I don't think he's being honest with you." For a moment, all she could hear was the dialogue from the TV preview echoing in the background. Her pulse roared in her ears, drowning everything else. She tried to laugh, but the sound came out shaky. "Adam, that's a huge thing to say. What makes you think that?" Adam hesitated, eyes darting nervously toward the kitchen, where Michael's glass clinked. "I've seen messages," he admitted finally, voice barely above a whisper. "Late at night. They're not from work." Her stomach lurched. The room seemed to tilt, the blanket slipping from her shoulders as she clutched it tighter. Her mind scrambled for explanations, anything that didn't mean what Adam was implying. A misunderstanding, a joke, something harmless. Michael re-entered then, glass in hand, eyebrows raised at the hush in the room. "What's going on?" His tone was casual, but cautious. Adam's jaw tightened. "You should tell her." Michael froze. For just a flicker of a second, she saw it. Guilt. It vanished almost as quickly as it appeared, replaced by a forced laugh. He waved it off, calling Adam's words an overreaction, a teenager's dramatics. But the denial rang hollow, thinner than paper. She didn't confront him, not yet. Her voice stayed steady as she gave Adam's hand a small squeeze. "We'll talk later," she whispered. Inside, her heart weighed heavy with dread. A night that began in routine had suddenly cracked open into something unrecognizable. Later, after Adam had gone upstairs, the mother stood in the dim kitchen, leaning against the counter as the refrigerator hummed softly behind her. The air felt colder there, emptier. Michael entered, his stance defensive, shoulders squared. "So you're really going to take Adam's word over mine?" he asked, his voice low, already carrying a hint of accusation. She turned slowly, gripping the counter's edge. Her voice trembled, but her resolve held. "I'm asking you for the truth, Michael. That's all I want." His eyes flickered. Anger, shame, fear, all colliding in a single glance. He mumbled excuses about work, about stress, about teenagers jumping to conclusions. But his words didn't match his tone. They wavered. She caught every inconsistency, every hesitation. "You've been distant for months," she said quietly, checking your phone, leaving the room for calls. "Don't tell me I imagined all of that." Michael's shoulders slumped. "It's not what you think," he muttered, though even he sounded unsure. On the stairs, a creak. Adam was listening. Her heart clenched. She wanted to protect him, to shield him from more hurt. "We can't hide from this," she said firmly. "Not from him, not from each other." The confrontation didn't explode into shouting. It cracked instead, like ice breaking. Quiet but devastating. When Michael finally walked away, the silence that followed was heavier than any argument. She sank into a chair, the weight of betrayal pressing down. Morning came, too bright for the heaviness it revealed. The three of them sat at the kitchen table, cereal bowls untouched. Adam's eyes flicked nervously between his parents. The mother broke the silence. "We need to figure out how to move forward. No more secrets." Michael nodded, shame etched across his face. He didn't offer excuses this time, just a quiet admission of unhappiness, of confusion, of mistakes. She didn't press for every detail, not yet. What mattered now was honesty, however painful. Adam reached across the table, squeezing her hand gently. "I just didn't want you to get hurt worse later," he whispered. Her eyes welled with tears. In that moment, she realized how much weight her son had carried, how his courage came at a cost to his own innocence. Later, when she walked alone through the neighborhood, the world looked unchanged. Yet everything felt different. Reflections in shop windows seemed to show a new version of herself. Fragile, yes, but stronger too. Betrayal, she realized, isn't always loud or dramatic. Sometimes it creeps in quietly, between popcorn kernels and movie scenes, slipping unnoticed into ordinary nights. And sometimes, the truth breaks you before it sets you free. The final image faded. The empty couch. Netflix's glowing home screen, playing silently in the background, a witness to the night everything changed.